Welcome to the Tool Museum here at Alice Ferguson Foundation. Why don't we go inside and have a look? The tools that you see in this museum are anywhere from 80 to 100 years old, and tools have been made all the way from the beginning of time. Like this hoe that was actually made out of a part of an animal. Farmers have had to be very innovative and create many tools in order to make their lives a little bit easier. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of those tools. Well, here we have an iron. This iron may look a little different than what you have in your house because of course it does not use electricity. But it still serves the same purpose as our irons today. Only difference is that this one can't plug in. There's no on and off button, no steam setting. So we would have a wood burning stove like we have here, and we would have to just put it on the wood burning stove. And I'm sure those farmers had the countdown so that they knew just how long to keep it on there, and then they could take it off and start ironing their clothes. Now the farmers were always very resourceful. They didn't have a lot of money, so when their tools broke, they weren't going to throw it away. This iron actually did break. This is not the handle that came with this iron. So when it broke, they just put it aside. They didn't throw it away. And later on, another tool that broke, but they no longer needed, they went ahead and took the handle off and figured out a way to attach it to this iron so that they would still have an iron to go. So it still works. There's no more problem with it. And here we have an ice carry. These were very handy tools to bring ice back from the Potomac River. Because as you can imagine, not that long ago, we actually didn't have freezers. So we just waited for the Potomac River to freeze over, and we'd go down, cut up a block of ice. But of course you don't want to carry that with your bare hands, so they came up with these ice carries. And we're going to use this log here to demonstrate. It is able to just pick up the ice, and you can carry it back home without freezing your hands. So it's a very useful tool. Well, here we have a handsaw. And 100 years ago, if you wanted to build a house, you weren't going to just hire a construction company. You were most likely going to actually build it yourself. So you were going to have to find a tree and start cutting it up. So these saws actually made it a lot easier to cut a nice clean line straight through the wood. As I always said, farmers were always very innovative, and they finally figured out that it was a lot quicker to have a two-man saw like this tool here to get through these logs much quicker. Of course, 100 years ago, before we had gasoline-powered machines, and we still had lawns and they needed to get mowed, so people were using scythes like this. And the scythe, just you'd grab the two handles and you just had to twist, and that would cut down the grass. Usually the grass was for hay so that they could feed their animals later. But some very smart farmer came along and made this scythe and cradle. So it still got the metal cutting blade, but 4 wooden tines. And once again, you just twist, cut down the hay, and it would fall down that cradle. That way they didn't have to pick it up later. Well, but today we like to get things done a little bit faster. So I'd like to thank you from Hard Bargain Farm. It's time to go mow some hay.